it.
You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off kilter, the professor, the godfather. Post-wrestling, the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
Welcome to the N.W.A. Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the show all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. I am one of your hosts, the Godfather Nate Milton. Welcome to our very first episode here on Post Wrestling. For those of you that may have only heard the show through our interactions with you guys on Post Podcast Day earlier this year, the NWA Podcast is something that's been going on for 2 years over at the Kings of Sport Patreon. And you can still check out the archives over there at patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. But now, much like Tim Hardaway or Allen Iverson or that young man Trader Barge, we hitting y'all with the crossover because we coming from the Kings of Sport Patreon to Post Wrestling. And we are now officially a part of the Post Wrestling family. So allow us to reintroduce ourselves, starting with my tag team partner, my right-hand man, the angry intellectual himself. He hails from the City of Angels. Y'all give it up for the professor, Kris Ealy, a.k.a. Kris Ealy. Kris, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the new era of the NWA Podcast.
Get in color in the I see what you did there.
You see, it's levels to this game, baby. It's levels.
Right. Yeah. It's good being here. Thank you, Nate. When we talked about this some years ago, who'd have thought we would make it all the way to the post office, right? I mean, I'm excited about what's to come, and if you guys at home could see me at home, I'm rocking the I look like Frederick Douglass Jr. Right now. My fro is a little off kilter, but yeah, I'll worry about that later.
Hey, but you're looking good, brother. We healthy. We still here in the midst of everything going on in the world, and we are so happy to be able to bring the podcast to an even bigger audience here at Post Wrestling. And so some things are going to change with the show, but a lot of what has become kind of the template for the NWA Podcast is going to remain the same. And so in that vein, we are going to keep one thing the same, and that is bringing on a friend of the program, a family member of this podcast, but we're going to give him a different job. We're going to give him a different role, a promotion, if you will, Kris. And so let us bring in our new official NWA Podcast news anchor, the man that's going to tell you all of the things going on in the world of pro wrestling, the man that's going to give you the straight scoop of what's going on in these streets. Y'all give it up for my nephew, the youngest in charge. You know him from Post Wrestling, Bushby and Thompson, all these shows out here, Andrew Thompson interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson with the news. What's going on, brother?
Nate and Kris, my two uncles, man. I'm honored to be on the debut show. Cheap plug before we get into everything. Everybody got to go check out the show that Nate and Kris and I did a couple years back, I believe it was. For sure, one of my favorite podcasts of all time on the Kings of Sport Patreon. I think it's a free show up there. Yeah. Legit one of the best shows I've ever been a part of. Yeah, two of my favorite people on the Post Network, man. So I'm excited, and thank both of you for having me on.
No doubt, my brother, no doubt. Like, it's a perfect fit, man, because, not only not only did you come up with us from day one, you know, you've been part of this show since day one back at the old Kings of Sport Patreon, but now, you know, I feel like it's the perfect mix, man, because, you know, you one of the up-and-coming newsmen in this game, one of the up-and-coming journalists, man. You know, you got next, man. You gonna get that torch from John Pollock one day. So we definitely wanted to have you as a part of this show, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for doing that show with us, man, and like much respect, because I don't know if I can consume as much wrestling as you and Holland.
Can't nobody do it like Andrew and Joe Poe.
and maintain my sanity, man. Like when I was watching, we'll get into it, but when I saw my man almost with the Yardbird yesterday, I was like, why am I still watching this shit? You know, I'm entering middle age, man. This can't be life right now.
He was like Danny Glover, man. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, we're glad to have you as a part of this next chapter in the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, Andrew. So without any further ado, we're gonna let you go to work. Let you do what you do, brother. What's going on with the news?
Well, the biggest story coming out of the last 24 hours on this, as we're recording this on this June 9th afternoon, one Lio Rush, who is very well experienced and has done a lot of professional wrestling in his short time in the business. He suffered a tear in his shoulder, and it was apparently really, really bad. And he described it on his personal Instagram page that it got to a point where he couldn't even hold up his newborn. As we all know, Lio Rush debuted for AEW at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view in the Casino Battle Royal. He got injured in that match, and he announced his retirement from professional wrestling some days after. On June 8th is when he formally announced his retirement. So a lot of people were very shocked because a lot of people thought it was AEW was, of course, on a dock for Lio. They still wanted to sign him despite knowing that he was injured. So assumingly once he got healed, he was going to come back and do some stuff with AEW, and he was under contract, still is under contract with New Japan. And he announced that he was going to, once he has the surgery and, gets healed up and everything, then he's going to finish out his contractual obligations and appearances. And then after that, he's done. This year alone, we've seen Lio Rush in so many promotions. He's been working for GCW. He won the MLW middleweight title from Myron Reed. He's been doing a lot since he got released from WWE last April. And it's at the age of 26 years old, Lio Rush has formally announced his retirement.
Yeah, man, this was a wild story, Andrew, and obviously all three of us are big fans of Lio Rush and what he can do in the ring. And so if this is it, besides those contractual obligations he's got to fulfill once he gets healed up, I think it's going to be sad. I hate to be cynical and skeptical here, Kris, but this is pro wrestling, man. This is pro wrestling. We've seen people retire before, and we've seen all them same people that retired come on back, So it would not shock me if this was not the last time that we saw Lio Rush in a ring. But I also think this is somebody that we know how much his family means to him. Anybody that saw him on the challenge, right? Like they know that this is somebody who family means a lot to him. And so I could see him stepping away for a bit. But like Andrew said, man, this dude is 26. So even if he steps away for like 3 or 4 years, Kris, there's plenty of time for him to come back and still do stuff in wrestling, whether it's being an active competitor, or I could even see him, being a commentator for somebody, because the brother can talk. So I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Lio Rush in professional wrestling.
Yeah, man. When I saw that original tweet, I was like, shit. Is Mark Henry trying to get this brother to carry bags in AEW also? What the hell? but yeah, man.
Like, Mark, why you always asking me to carry your bags, brother? That's what I do.
Yeah, but I look, man. He's gotta take care of home first. Do some self-care. I think, like you said, 26. I think he might be on a little bit of the over dramatic side of things, because he loves wrestling. I remember I never met Lio Rush, but I saw him out here this might even been the show where he took that picture with Topanga, Daniel Fishel. And he loves his job, man. So, sometimes we need to just, go home, chill, maybe take like some Epsom salt baths, chill in the jacuzzi, get you a couple massages, get some acupuncture, do what you need to do, bro. But I don't think it's over either.
Yeah, I don't think Lio Rush is going to be out of wrestling for forever, because like I think just the way that things unfolded for him recently, like it was one of those, I don't want to call it a rash decision, but it's just one of those things that you make out of emotion, because he literally just made his debut for AEW, the national program, probably one of the biggest spots that he's had over the last several years, outside of WWE, of course. And then, but you could say that debut was probably like the biggest moment for him over the past couple of years. The reaction he got, the fan reaction online, people were excited.
No, you're right. It was a pleasant surprise. Because Tony Khan sometimes with his nonsense, with his promises, he goes out there. This was an instance of him under promising and over delivering. Yeah. He didn't promise anything wild, but when Lio Rush came out, I was genuinely excited to see that, brother. And like you were alluding to, Andrew, it was just man, this is a big moment for him, dude. And I do think that they got some good stuff for him in AEW.
I'll tell you what though, Andrew, like Lio Rush a better dude than me, man. Because the fact that AEW still wanted to sign this brother after he got injured, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, yo, heal up on our dime. I'm taking that 10 times out of 10, Andrew Thompson.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, he got the contract with New Japan. So like you basically signed two of the top three organizations out there in professional wrestling, and they telling you, look, go take care of your surgery, and then you come back when you come back. And like, man, that's why I think it was just, one of those decisions that you just so like just distraught at the fact that you just had this big moment, and then of course you get hurt, and then now you got to take 9 or 8 months off. And I'm like, man, like they basically telling you, like, look, you like Nate just said, you go heal up and you come back, and then by the time you come back, AEW already be touring. New Japan, the borders will probably be open, so you never know who could be in there or how big New Japan might grow from here. From where they are. So I mean, like I can't see. I feel like once Lio Rush heals up, and then once he fills out the rest of those dates that he has with New Japan, and he gets that bug back, he's gonna be like, all right, like, okay, I'm in. But I was gonna ask y'all, did y'all before we move on to the next topic, did y'all happen to see the WWE ring announcer Greg Hamilton's little sneak diss at Lio?
No. Yeah, I saw the tweet and delete. He was
he tweet delete.
Yeah.
He made a little comment about but basically what he said, he was like when the news came about that Lio Rush got that he announced his retirement, he was like, wow, unreal. If we all didn't have our own lives and families to take care of, I might just pretend to give a bleep. And then he said, on behalf of the wrestling family and community who work for a living, onto the gym. And then he deleted it, and then he, of course, posted his apology. And the only thing I like is, if you're going to disrespect somebody publicly, then the least you can do is apologize publicly. So,
Yeah,
that's some sucker stuff right there, man.
Yeah, I these kinds of Lio Rush, I think that he's always had kind of a target on his back over just some real, like,
him being confident is basically what it is.
Yeah, petty stuff, I think the guy is, he did step out of bounds when he, tweeted the firing about what Emma or whatever.
Yeah,
that wasn't the greatest thing to do, but he didn't.
But it wasn't it was made out to be. Like,
yeah.
Because here's the thing, like what this dude did to Lio is way more disrespectful than Lio making the joke like Emma wasn't ready for Oscar. Like, to me, like, Lio probably shouldn't have tweeted it, but like what this dude did to Lio is way more egregious than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, way more egregious in my opinion as well.
So next up, we got some news about the current WWE champion, the third black WWE champion in the company's history, one Bobby Lashley. It's more of an opinion thing. what you Nate and Kris, what you guys think. Of course, WWE, they getting back on the road in front of live fans in July. Do you think Bobby Lashley is going to be defending the WWE Championship at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view coming up in a few weeks before WWE gets back on the road? Do you guys think that let me just throw this in, he's defending against Drew McIntyre, and the stipulation is that if Drew McIntyre loses, he can't challenge for the title anymore while Bobby Lashley is champion. So do you think with that being in there, do you think that Drew McIntyre is going to be the guy going into, the fans being there, or do you think they're going to keep riding it out with Bobby Lashley?
This isn't just my blackness talking, so you know where I'm going with this. I don't think that I think Lashley at this present moment in time is more valuable than Drew McIntyre. And I also think that Lashley, there was a Lesnar name drop, and Lashley, this was like about a few weeks ago, and Lashley said, "Why are we talking about a guy that's not even here?" I don't think that was an accident. So I'm interested to see where things go. But yeah, Drew McIntyre, it sucks for him. I really do feel bad for him because he was coming up right when the pandemic was hitting. But Drew is one of those guys where I just don't think WWE has ever had any good direction with that brother, right? I mean, it's like he's supposed to be a good guy, but he does a lot of like heel stuff, and then he's also like, he does a good job of cutting those corporate promos, but I don't know. What say you, Nate?
Man, y'all already know this about to be an okie doke. This is what the WWE does so often. They book themselves into corners, and then they have to figure their way to, how to get out of that corner. And so I don't think the match that's currently advertised is the match that we're going to get by the time we get to Hell in a Cell. I think we're going to keep this same stipulation, but I feel like, Andrew, I got this sneaking suspicion, man, they're going to find a way to put Kofi Kingston in this match. And make it a three-way, and Kofi's going to eat the pin because the company has shown us that they view Kofi as expendable. And so that way Drew doesn't beat Lashley, but Kofi losing keeps Drew's chances alive for a future match with Bobby. So I think that's how it's going to get done, man. There's no way that we're not going to see Drew and Bobby hook up for the title again. I think this is just going to be something where they booked themselves into something that they really didn't need to book themselves into.
There you go. But kind of moving out from WWE onto some more positive news. The representation is alive and well in Ring of Honor's Women's World Title tourney. They got 3 black women scheduled for the show. We got and all the participants haven't even been announced yet. We got Trisha Dora, Maserati, and Willow Nightingale. I said ROH is revamping their women's division, and several talented black women are a part of it, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. You guys' thoughts just about the representation that's out there on the independent scene, and seemingly more companies kind of and more promotions sort of getting more diverse with their talent.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing, man. Not just with ROH and their women's tournament, but you look at the NWA getting ready to produce an all-women's show. Yeah. Led by Mickie James. I think this is a great time, man, for female performers out there, man. And so, with the names you just mentioned for the ROH tourney, I'm really excited for them. This could be a big thing for them, especially Willow Nightingale is one of my favorite performers right now on the indies, man. Just what she brings in terms of ring and in terms of in-ring work, and in terms of charisma. Yeah, she's got it all, man. And I love that. We can have all these great, talented female performers, and they can come in all different shapes and sizes and colors, man. And so, I wish nothing but the best for them, and I'm hoping that this is the start of something, man, where we're starting to, go beyond what has been typically looked upon as this is what a professional women's wrestler at a big time company looks like, and they all tend to be blonde haired and blue eyed. I hope that we pass that now.
I'm about to say, and even you could throw this in for Kris get to it. Like you can look at the Red Velvets and the Jade Cargills. Like, dude, like it's so many like talented Black women's wrestlers out there. That's like they on the come up, man. Like for real.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I think that we're in a unique space now. I don't think that WWE or AEW or Impact, I don't think the problem now is them not having the talent. They clearly do have the talent. It really is now about giving them something creatively to sink their teeth into.
And of course the last topic we're gonna get into so sort of kind of Nate's wheelhouse, some sort of you could say Impact Wrestling TNA related related news, somewhat. Earlier this month, being of course the month of June, it was confirmed by FOW Online that Kia Stevens, better known as Awesome Kong, her contract with All Elite Wrestling was not renewed. Kong has not wrestled since January of 2020. She has had a great career, of course. Like I mentioned, she had a great stint out there in TNA. Had some very memorable matches out there with Gail Kim. Had a run at WWE and of course in AEW and of course the stuff with Glow on Netflix, a hit show. We don't know what's next for Kia, but I think she's I can't remember her age, but I think she's like 42, maybe 41. She's had a wonderful career. We don't know if this is it for her or not, but just you guys as fond as memories of Kia Stevens, and just your thoughts about what could be next for her, or if this could be it for her.
I understand AEW's position because there really wasn't anything that they could do with her while she was injured. I think she can do a lot of good being like a backstage agent, producer for AEW. And I think she's going to be around. I met her in Chicago at one of the Starcasts. Just the sweetest person there. She actually taught me into buying like 3 of the same autograph picture from her. I don't know how she did that, but do you, sister, do you? But yeah, and she's acting and stuff too. She's
a great actor.
Yeah, and she's making her way in that field. So I think she should be utilized by AEW as a part-timer. If she wants to come back to work full-time, if her body is healed up, I don't see anything wrong with that, but that's probably not where her headspace is at the moment. She's probably more just wanting to do what she can in acting, because she is a good actor. She was definitely one of the highlights of Glow. That episode with her son, having to watch her be the welfare queen, that almost brought a tear to my eye. I ain't even gonna lie. So do what's best for you, Kia.
Yeah, man. I feel like, again, we got to give props to these people while they still around, man. And Kia is somebody that been in the game for a minute, Andrew, like almost 20 years at this point, and has wrestled in Impact, has wrestled, in Japan, has wrestled in AEW, had her WWE run, so she doesn't have anything left to prove, man. Like, if she doesn't wrestle another match for the rest of her life, she's already a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? And so my thing for her is whatever makes her happy, whether that be continuing to grow as an actress, or whether it is being an agent, or even a part-time wrestler. But I think there's this class of wrestlers, and I talked about it recently with John Pollock, man. Like, when you look at your Mercedes Martinez's, your Lufistos, right? Mickey James now in NWA. Like, there's so many great performers that are of a certain age, and I feel like company, Jazz just had a retirement tour. Like, a lot of people think once you hit that certain age, particularly if you're a woman, and particularly if you're a woman of color, that's a wrap. Like, you don't have anything to offer the business, and that's not true at all. Like, I think any company would be made better for having Kong work for them. But if that's not what she wants, man, like, I just want her to be happy. So, I had a chance to talk to her on one of my old shows, Pipe Bomb Radio, back in the day. Me and my co-host Felix had a chance to talk to her, and like Kris was saying, man, like, she is just one of the sweetest, smartest people that you would ever meet, man. So I just, wish the best for her.
Yeah, before we get out of here, that was of course the last news topic. Got to correct something that I said earlier, because Nate, you just kind of mentioned it, and I was kind of thinking about it after I said it. Like I noticed that we kind of, well, even me, I'm not gonna say me, when we kind of, so sometimes when conversations come out about it was specifically female performers in wrestling, like kind of mention the age as far as like when they quote unquote the tail end of their in-ring careers and stuff, but we don't do that for like the males when you got like these 50, 60-year-old dudes, still trying to get back in the ring. So I want to retract that and, leave her age out of that. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I corrected that.
Yeah, man. Look, Tully Blanche is still out here getting checks, man. If Tully can get a check, man, Kong can get a check too, brother.
100%.
When I met her, she was making a lot of age jokes on herself. So, but yeah, I just, we're always good to cover your tracks. I feel you, Andrew.
And that's why this man about to be next. That's why he got that journalistic integrity. That's what they call it, ladies and gentlemen. That's our brother Andrew Thompson. Andrew, for anybody that wants to hear more from you, brother, obviously they're gonna hear you here on the NWA podcast. But where else can they check out all of your great articles, all of your great interviews, including, speaking of TNA, you just got to talk to that man J-E-F-F, J-A-R-R, E-double-T, Jeff Terry.
Big up to you for asking about the
head of state.
Only your brother is asking him that question.
I just pulling back the curtain. I just watched Head of State today on Pluto TV when I was waiting to get my car fixed. I turned on Pluto TV because sometimes I watch the wrestling channels, and I was like, "What's going on the Black Entertainment channel on Pluto TV?" And next thing I know, here come Nate Dogg. Everything's going great for Maze. Look at him. He's the head of state. And I was like, is that Jeff Jarrett and Ron Killings on my screen?
when he kept getting his car impounded and a bike and all that, but Beyonce, Jay-Z song, "Look for Me."
That's an underrated movie, man. Head of State, Chris Rock. Check that out.
And I was about to say, it was good talking to Jeff. Like he was he seemed like he was a real, chill dude from when I was talking to him, and he seemed like he was very, very surprised when I brought up the Head of State movie, gave a whole breakdown of how that whole ordeal happened. Right. But yeah, they go check out my interviews at the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. I just put an interview up today with New Japan Pro Wrestling's Mikey Nichols, who was formerly in WWE, and then go subscribe to the channel for more content and check out my written work over at the Post Wrestling site.
Yeah, next time ask him about Life with Mikey if you get a chance. He was in that
too. Yo, that's our guy, Andrew Thompson, our nephew, the youngest in charge. Appreciate you for bringing us the news, brother, and we'll do it again next time.
All right, for sure. I appreciate y'all, man. Peace.
All right. Thank you once again to the youngest in charge, our brother Andrew Thompson, bringing us the news, Chris. Now that we enlightened, now that we informed, I feel like we can have a conversation. Yeah, so let's bring in our guests, man. They ain't even really guests at this point, Chris. They damn near family at this point because they've been down with the Nubian Wrestling Advocates since day one. And we're glad to have them here on our first episode on the Post Wrestling Network. So let me bring in, first of all, she was going to make her debut during post-podcast day. But she was like, I need to make this entrance. I need to let these people know I'm on that CPT. That Calrissian people time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring in friend of the program, wrestling aficionado, Star Wars expert, host of Sistas With Sabers, the excellent Star Wars podcast, Sister Maria. What is up, fam?
What's up? It's good to be here with you guys. It's been a while, man, but I missed you guys. I'm glad to do this.
We are glad to have you with us because, we definitely want to hear your thoughts on this crazy world of professional wrestling that we're talking about this week. But Maria is not the only guest joining us. Our other guest is one of the best voices on the Pro Wrestling Torch Network. That's just my opinion. But I think it's the truth, too. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why I got like real dramatic with that intro, Kris. felt like Shamar Moore when he used to fill in for Don Cornelius on Soul Train.
Oh yeah.
Coming up next from Atlantic Records, let's bring in the one and only Jody Watley. But we ain't got Jody Watley, but we got somebody here with just as much star power. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Torch, Rich Fann is back with us. Brother Rich, how are you, man?
I'm good, and I feel completely overwhelmed with the level of hype man you gave me. That was a John Wickian level hype man, and you just gave me. So I appreciate that, brother Nate.
We got to big up our people. As the New Day would say, we got to gas up our brothers and sisters. So, Kris, we got some topics to talk about this week and to share with the people. So let's not even waste any time, man. What is the first topic on the schedule for this week?
Okay, so the first topic is our thoughts on the current utilization of BIPOC.
Hold up, Kris. I don't know why you always try to erase me like this, brother. You never read my fancy little titles. I'll be taking so much time to think of, brother. Let's run that back.
Okay, so topic number 1, the Minority Report.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, Kris. I appreciate it.
All right, cool. I'll let it marinate for a second. Okay. Our thoughts on the current utilization of BIPOC performers of the major wrestling companies.
So I think I wanted to start here, guys, kind of as a reset point, and just kind of take the temperature in the room, because on the one hand, there are more performers of color performing now in major companies than we've seen in the past. The question is, how well are they being utilized? So, Maria, we can start with you. Like, what are your thoughts on maybe some of the performers either in WWE or AEW or anywhere else that you feel are or maybe aren't being used properly?
Yeah, this is an interesting thing that I had commented on last night, is that, we have more individuals of color out there, whether it's Black or other races. Like I like what's going on with Damian Priest, because, McMahon has a tendency, just to talk about real quick about what's winning for me. If this was 10 years ago, McMahon would have put him in that same Carlito shirt and sent him out there to talk about a cabana or whatever. You know what I mean? So I am happy on the one side that some individuals are getting a chance to express themselves and become their own character, but there's also a lot of room for improvement. Like it's weird. There's this bipolar disorder that's happening when I watch the show. Like, on one hand, it's like, look at how progressive we are. Look at our women's division, Bianca Belair. And then on the other hand, like, you got Bobby Lashley, and he looks like Big Papa Cool or whatever with all these hoes behind him. I'm like, what is the message here? What is the message? What is the message? And there's so many white women. I'm like, what is the message? That white women equal what? Because I'm tired of seeing it. This ain't 1984. Come on now. This shit is crazy. So
talk about it.
Yeah, so on one hand, I feel like, we're getting better. AEW is super progressive, in my opinion, more so than WWE could ever dream to be. But, we've got more people of color on the show, but what are they really doing? They've still got that black manservant character for AJ Styles. Like, don't even get me started on how much I hate that shit. Like, that's so offensive. And I don't understand why somebody doesn't intervene. Like, oh, well, he didn't say he was a slave. I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's labeled as that or not. Like, you got to understand how that comes across and how that could be offensive to me. That brother belongs in a headlining match. Like, he's got the look and he can definitely perform. Why is he playing second banana to this idiot?
And I think like there's a way to do it, Maria, where, he's not Virgil, right?
Right.
Like, there's a way where he can work with AJ and get those reps and get that experience without him being, like you said, the manservant, without being this guy's lackey. But I also think, like, it's weird because, and I want to know what Rich thinks about this. Like, with AEW, I do agree on the whole, they're generally more progressive than the WWE. But I also feel like one of my big issues with that company is they've got a lot of great diversity up and down the roster. But if you look at that main event scene, it looks like a paper plate with a bowl of rice and a glass of milk in the middle of a snowstorm, Rich.
So you got to also add in, the darkest dude in the main event is Sting when he's got his paint on.
And I love me some Sting, but that ain't the move.
Yeah, Steve too fly ain't gonna be enough. And I think the issue for them is, and it's been the thing they've been focused on so much since the beginning, they've gotten the strong main event. They're going with a more old school, a combination of like the old school 80s, like territory / Japanese extended title reigns for your champions. But the problem with that is when you set up a primarily or exclusively white main event scene, you're setting yourselves up for failure. I mean, shoot, first thing I said when they got the roster they had was, you got the Lucha Brothers, and in every other promotion in the United States before AEW, they were champions in the company, regardless of if they happen to tag together. Then you add in the young folk, they've got like the Acclaimed, Private Party. You got the big man.
Hobbs.
Hobbs is a guy who I think he needs to go under the learning tree with Mark Henry and just soak that knowledge up, because he could be a monster with that man talking to him in the back. And then you also have the hangers-on, and no offense to them, but that's what they are, the hangers-on and friends of the EVPs that are in lackey positions even at the top of the card. So why is Cody feuding with QT Marshall instead of just kicking QT to the curb and just letting it be about a go-go and Cody?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, because ain't nobody here for the QT Marshall heel run. What about you, Kris? Like, what are your thoughts, either WWE or AEW, in terms of kind of the current way that performers of color are being used in these companies?
All right, so I do have criticisms of both. Mild praise, but criticisms. First of all, I want to talk about WWE. I saw Almost, going back to him for a second. I didn't watch Raw completely last night. I watched segments from YouTube. All I saw was this brother Almost. I thought that fool had a piece of fried chicken in his hand. And it was I was like, that's some chicken? What the hell? And then they explained it was a turkey leg, and I guess the Viking Raiders made a joke about a turkey leg. I was about to lose my shit. I guess a turkey leg is better, but it looked like fried chicken long enough for me to feel some.
Yes. If we're power ranking like the racist potential of poultry, chicken is way worse than turkey.
But it's a lateral move. It's a lateral move, right?
I called my man Almost Free because that's how they treat him on that show.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with WWE right now. And I did like the Lashley stuff with the women. I'm gonna let Maria use her words. That's not something I'm not going down that road. But with the women and stuff like that, I do think that's a little bit much. I get it, but I think it's a little bit antiquated. I agree with Rich on the whole thing about AEW going to them. I don't know one black person in AEW with any real motivation that I can understand, get behind, comprehend, or even like tell somebody, hey, this black person is doing that. I'm staying on the black folks in AEW right now because that's the biggest problem for me. Is like only thing I know about Private Party are they are a couple of dumbass idiots. Character-wise, I'm not talking about on a personal level. I'm sure both of them are nice dudes, but you're giving 35% of your earn. What 30? I don't know. I don't even care. Big Money Matt, and I love Matt Hardy. Big Money Matt is the worst character in wrestling to me. I'm not gonna say I'm right now. I put him up there with The Miz as far as my personal hatred for that character. I love Matt Hardy. The weird thing about Matt Hardy is I historically loved every incarnation of his character, but the minute he gets put with brothers, he doesn't make any sense. Private Party doesn't make any sense. Scorpio Sky isn't making any sense anymore. At first, I kind of understood him. Powerhouse Hobbs, he doesn't make any sense. What the thing I hate about AEW when it comes to their black talent is they do these like random heel turns that don't make any sense to me, that I don't understand where they're coming from. I don't understand the motivations behind them. And I don't know what's worse. And maybe y'all can tell me, booking stereotypes, but a lot of television time, or just leaving guys off of TV until you could come up with stuff for them to do. Because like Hobbs, like, he's not doing anything. He's getting his ass kicked by Christian every week, or he's not doing anything. And Scorpio Sky I like the stuff with him and Paige sometimes, but he doesn't make any sense to me. Private Party are a couple of idiots who are giving their money to a white dude 30% and for the hopes of what they're like. I don't understand that. And even a go.
Yeah, they like, have they won since teaming with Matt Hardy? Like, what is this investment providing for them? Like,
right?
I think the one black performer on the roster in AEW, and I will give them credit for this, because this individual is already a star in my opinion, and is just going to continue to grow as she becomes more proficient, and that's Jade Cargill. Like, that's to me the one black performer that they've gotten right from the jump.
Well, I'm gonna give some kickback to that too. I think Jade Cargill, they've done a lot of right things with her, but like, I think Jade Cargill is, because she's such a presence and just has her charisma oozes off the TV screen, but I don't know how much credit AEW can take for her outside of just putting her on television. You know, like, she's like just cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have anything really for her. The stuff with Shaq and her was great. I love that.
I think you got to give them credit for like doing the stuff with Shaq, because that set her in a position from the jump. But also, you know, sometimes, Rich, it's not what you do, but it's the things you don't do, right? And we haven't shackled Jade to a meaningless stable. We haven't put Jade in a meaningless feud. We've made her feel special because we haven't messed with the formula.
Yeah. And when you look at Jade, the one thing I say they could mess up with by adding Mark Sterling, who I liked as a manager in Beyond and independent scene, but she doesn't need a manager. She's Rick Rude. That's what I say all the time on the Torch. People are just realizing that we have Rick Rude for this generation, and it just happens to be a strong black woman instead of a dude from Minnesota. And it's amazing to me to see her. And the one thing I would say, to Kris's point when he was talking about, you know, not necessarily doing as much and they kind of looked into her, WWE had her and they dumped her.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't see her. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind. Like, you see that woman and you can't get her on television?
Yeah. Like, I would have like put her on ice or something until, like, you know, threw her on in the fridge until we could come up with something.
You know exactly what Vince thought, though. Vince was like, I've already got 2 of those, pal. Because he looks over and sees Sasha and Bianca, and he doesn't make the differentiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't see the value. And historically, that's always been the case with WWE, is they don't see value in black women. So they will pass on something and look like fools.
Right. Yeah, because I was a big fan of Jazz when they had her, and they kind of squandered her away. But it's just I I do think Jade, as far as upsides are concerned in AEW, I do think that right now she's at the top of the heap when it comes to black talent. Go-Go, I do have to talk about him for a second because his heel turn really makes the least amount of sense to me because I don't understand QT Marshall. Like Cody wins all the time, and you left a guy who wins all the time to a guy that nobody knows, and even worse, nobody cares about. I mean, you know, QT Marshall, he's another one of those guys. He's trained a lot of wrestlers. I'm sure he's a nice guy personally. I don't like his wrestling character because he makes no sense to me. Like your only ticket to relevancy is Cody Rhodes, and you're telling all these guys it makes no sense. Make it make sense is all I'm asking.
QT Marshall is Kyrie when Kyrie went to the Celtics and left LeBron in Cleveland. He's like, I got this, Cody. I can do this on my own. Watch, I got my own super team. Welp.
Yeah, exactly.
See how that turned out. I think
to the question earlier about the booking, like, is it better to be booked on a show doing jack shit or not to be booked at all? I would say the latter, honestly, because look at what happened to Almost, like with the turkey leg. Like, it's just so uncool. Or let's go back to Naomi and the singing thing. You know, like I don't want to see us portrayed that way. If that's all you got for us, then let's figure something else out. Because you know, if the talent can leverage social media, right, in a way to get us behind them, you know, then we have a shot. You know, I'd rather them come up with something that's more formulated. And the writing does suck right now. I'm going to be honest about that. Right. Like he said, the character drives and motivations just aren't clear and it's not coming across. And that's why people are disconnected and disjointed. That's why people don't give a shit when a baby doll gets slapped around. You know, like nobody gives a shit. It doesn't make sense.
Maria, you don't understand the meaning.
You're right.
Behind the baby doll is a symbol for society, and we have to step on society so that we can ignite the flames within ourselves.
Just because people legalize marijuana doesn't mean you should smoke it all the damn time, right? You know,
I love what you're saying, though, Maria, and I completely agree. Like, I think, and even when the WWE stumbles on something good, they find a way to ruin it. Like with the Hurt Business, man.
Yeah.
Like the Hurt Business was money, literally and figuratively. And we just broke them up because.
Yeah.
And now, like, Cedric doesn't mean anything. Shelton doesn't mean anything. Bobby's out, like you said, Bobby's out here living his best Rick James life. And
right, basically.
You know, it's like you could have had this, for lack of a better term, like this Black Evolution group that just could have ran roughshod for a year. And then we get like the big Bobby Cedric feud, which sets Cedric up to be something. But right now, Cedric is
a mid-card.
Yeah, this is nothing against the guy, but in terms of the show, Cedric doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I don't understand them breaking up the Hurt Business either, because you have 4 guys that had defined. Shelton Benjamin was one of those, was like a lost puppy dog in wrestling, especially when he was in WWE, just looking for something that he could sink his teeth into. And then they finally give him something that he can sink his teeth into. And then they just kind of throw all that to the wayside, and, you know, it makes no sense to me.
And it's a shame because Shelton is a natural performer and he's got a lot of energy when he's in the ring and he can execute, but without the other side, without the character development, without the drive, and without the support of the company, he's like you said, a lost puppy. It's just, what bothers me is, like, you can't be on one side of the coin saying, oh, female empowerment, look at our women's division, and then 2 minutes later Bobby Lashley comes out you know, looking like Uncle Luke. Like, you can't do it. You cannot do that. That is called a contradiction, sir. Like, this is not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I don't know what that is, but that's not it.
No.
You know?
Get around.
Right? I thought it was gonna come on. like, okay, we're about to get into Judy Brown. That's what this is.
Like we know Vince is behind the times, so I'm assuming like now in 2021 he's finally listening to Miami bass. He's like, oh, this is great. Don't stop. Get it, pal.
Right? It's 2021 and it's so antiquated, like he said earlier. Like it really is. It's out of date. And we've got to like start turning the tide. And then again with the Kofi Kingston tease, like I'm tired of being like jerked around with Kofi Kingston. Like there is no reason why Kofi should have to come out here, prove himself again. And, you know, he is a high card performer. Like he's a main eventer, like it or not. And people need to get over it. Like everybody's not going to look like Bobby Lashley coming through the door. And we need to give space for different body types. Like just because you don't think that he's a adequate performer, or he doesn't look the type. Like I'm just so over that stuff. And, you know, I will say this on the positive side before I shut up. I've never seen more WWE commercials starring people of color, whether it's the Snickers campaign or it's the toys themselves. Like they're putting the New Day out there, and that's kind of dope. So I want to see more of that reflected in the actual show.
Yeah. And I think before we kind of leave this topic and go to our second topic, I did want to bring this up because when we look back to WrestleMania this year, you can make the argument, and Rich, I would say it's not even a close argument or a good argument for anything else. I would say the match of WrestleMania was Sasha and Bianca. And as great as that match was, the story leading up to it was really weak in my opinion. And it's like they did not feel like actual characters leading up to that match. They felt like caricatures of what somebody thinks that these black women sound like. And it just hit me wrong. And so like real quick, I want to get everybody's thoughts on just that the portrayal of Sasha and Bianca, because I feel like Bianca is somebody who is a star, but they're not treating like a star.
Sure. I'd actually first defer to Maria on that one because I want to hear her perspective on that, because I don't want to open with us doing the same thing WWE doing.
we're all about female empowerment, but sit down and let the men talk, lady.
Right, McMahon, tell us about female empowerment. Okay. Oh man, I'll say this: like they did a really good job. I'll start with the positives. They did a really good job with that package, right? Showing us who Bianca is, right? Her story, you know, and giving us that information. I think that this would have been a really nice buildup to see two black women with no outside beef, just who is the better competitor, and try to stay away from the cattiness. There was a little bit of that I really didn't care for. I don't think it's needed. I also think that Bianca has a wonderful, like, she's a natural face. Like she has that, if she's just herself, like it comes through naturally. So you don't have to put anything on top of it. And I feel like if they just let her natural shine come through, it would be, you know, less, you know, I just feel like people could grab to that more, you know, than kind of making her, like you said, a caricature. Sasha always delivers. I'll say that she always delivers. And that wig was popping. Okay. You can't tell me nothing about that wig. You can't tell me nothing at all. Period. Point blank. She killed it. And I like seeing her smile at the end of the match, like, because it was like a we did it moment. And I like that too. But I really wanted to see less of like, you know, the, you know, well, I'm better than you are. And more of like, let's go out there and give the best show possible and let the fans decide who's the best. You know, I think that would have been a more unifying message for black women. It's our first damn pay-per-view headlining. Like, we need to get this right. You know, like, I feel like that's really important. And yes, it was a powerful moment, but I feel like, first of all, that like lash on her back with the ponytail, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh shit. Wow. lit her up. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna hurt tomorrow. Ooh. But I feel like there was room in that wrestling match to tell a story that's cohesive, that shows respect to both competitors. They had a little bit of it in the beginning when they did the face-off, and then they lost it immediately. Like, I want to see that peer-to-peer respect, and less of the cattiness.
And for me, I talked yesterday on my show with Wade, everything on the PW Torch podcast, about the fact that I'm hoping with the hiring of 2 Black women writers, they finally start to get the fact that you need people to speak for people they're representing and not just go through a lens of whatever the person who has Vince McMahon's ear or Vince McMahon himself wants to see. Like Kris mentioned earlier, Jazz, the first person I always think about is Miss Jackie, and how she always had to be the other to Sable when she could have been her own thing in her own right. And that is something that they made the mistake with. And I think with these women, particularly as they evolve with Bianca, they need to give her that stage, because I even mentioned, they don't have good interviewers right now, right? They don't have the person, not interviews, but interviewers. They don't have that JR anymore. They can have that, that set down. That Renee Young, who was doing it before they cut her legs off. So why not have, the first thing I thought about was after WrestleMania, and I threw this out the Wade, so I throw it out to y'all. I thought they could have changed the whole paradigm of how they do interviews. Instead of her having to come out and do those tired interviews in front of the screens, do a sit down with her husband and say, tell me and tell the universe what I see. I'm going to tell them what I see that they don't. And then he's leading the conversation, talking about it, instead of her having to constantly talk about why people constantly said when she was growing up that she was too cocky, or why, like, have quotes from people who played with her. It's like, well, Bianca, she was always doing too much, but I get it. She was so good. Instead of, because when it's her talking, especially a Black woman, everyone else takes it as, why is she just bragging on herself?
Right. Yeah, I always get like the feeling when I watch WWE is that it's a white guy telling the Black wrestlers how to be Black. That's always been a criticism that I've had with WWE. Or can you do it a little bit more Blacker? I just get that impression.
It's very Hollywood shuffleish. Like it's
you don't think Coco Beware doing this was Black? that looked Black to me.
Where does a parrot rank, Maria? Where does a parrot rank on the racist poultry scale?
I would say it's below like a peacock.
Okay.
The one thing that I know how toxic Jim Cornette can be, but one thing I will give him credit on in the Smoky Mountain era is he told New Jack, go out there and say something to piss white people off. Any Black person knows how to do that. Jim Cornette didn't have to tell that dude what to say. New Jack found it in his spirit and said what was on his mind. And of course, New Jack went all the way left, but I was in Knoxville while that was going on, and I remember how the NAACP out there got pissed at that brother for it. But I don't think WWE. I think the minute Black people start being even a little bit authentic, Vince McMahon has to do something like giving Shelton Benjamin a mammy or something. It's just something like I just don't think normal everyday Black people is ever good enough for Vince McMahon.
Well,
I wonder if it could be that he's got an idea in his head of who Black people are, and that gets in the way.
And it's also like you got to think like Vince McMahon has been insulated for so long, right? Like, not only is he wealthy, not only is he white, not only is he old, like he's powerful. And how many regular, average, everyday people of color does he come into contact with that don't work for him? I would guess very few. So he's what we see on the screen, like whether he's the writer or not, like Rich was saying earlier, ultimately it all comes to us filtered through the lens of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So that brings us to our second topic, which I guess we'll start with Vince, but let the people know, Kris, what our second topic is.
All right, so topic number 2, coming to the cookout, the cookout, aka who all gonna be there? All right, a discussion on the allyship in wrestling, filtered through the lens of a cookout invite.
Yeah, so basically what I wanted to do with y'all is play a little party game. So it's summertime, right? So let's say we're having the Nubian Wrestling Advocates annual cookout. So I got a list of people in the wrestling world, and we're gonna go around the table, and I want y'all to give your opinion on who gets an invite. So you got 3 choices. You can either invite to the cookout, say they can't come to the cookout, or they can fix a plate, but they got to go. So those are your 3 options with the cookout game. And let's start with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, does he get to come to the cookout? Maria, what do you say?
Nah.
No hesitation.
Nah.
Rich, does Vince get to come to the cookout?
As long as he's employing those folks and paying them well, he can grab a plate. And we can have it like COVID style, like he just drive up to the house, we'll hand it, and he can bricks.
All right, so Rich says Vince can come pick up a plate, but he got to go. Kris, can Vince come to the cookout?
No. Vince has done too many things over the years that it's just he's provided me with so much entertainment, but it's like what Chris Rock was saying about America. Vince is like the wrestling promoter that you love and respect, but he molested you also. So it's like, nah.
So that's a no from Kris, a no from Maria. Pick up a plate from Rich. I'm gonna say, if this were Vince like in the 80s, like stand back Vince, like announcer Vince, I could let that man come through, get him a plate, get some short ribs or something, take it home with him. Vince now, like, and granted, like I'm a little salty with this company, like, and I have been ever since they did Kofi dirty. So like I'm biased on that front, Rich. So I'm gonna say no. Like Vince, we appreciate what he's done in terms of employing people and giving people options and whatnot, but nah, Vince can't come to the cookout. Let's stay in the family though, because I think Maria might switch her answer on this one. So she said Vince can't come to the cookout, but what about that man coming through with them fresh J's on, Shane McMahon?
I guess he can pick up a plate. It's you can be a person who is like into Black culture without necessarily being behind Black people.
Talk about
and that's the energy I get from him. Is you're a culture vulture. Like you want to hang out, but you don't want to be there when it's time to march. Like you're not down for us. You like to wear our style, but you ain't really,
As the late great Paul Mooney would say, everybody want to be an N-word, but don't nobody want to be an N-word.
Ain't that it?
That's it right there. Rich, what about you? Can Shane McMahon come to the cookout?
I think if I'm going by Maria's rules, none of them can be, because they were all hanging out in that White House, cheesing it up with 45. And so that's tough. But outside of that, because in advocacy, Shane, culture vulture extraordinaire. But I feel like Shane would need to come and at least get a plate, because I feel like he don't get invited to too many family functions.
That's accurate. That's accurate, yo. I feel that. Because Vince already has his favorite son, and his name is Hunter. Kris, we got two people saying Shane can come pick up a plate. What do you say about Shane McMahon?
Yeah, sure. Come to the cookout. I just want him to give me a pair of them J's.
Wow, you selling out you selling out the integrity of the cookout for some sneakers, Kris?
Hey, if he comes through with a pair of Dior's, the Jordan 1s, the Dior's, Look, man, I'll let him push the envelope that much more.
See, that's how people get in trouble. I'm gonna say he can come pick up the plate. Yeah, I think so. So Kris says he can come to the cookout fully. Me, Maria, and Rich say he can pick up a plate because I think like he's not as bad as his daddy, and he does. Like I think, you know, to my point earlier, Maria, like I feel like Shane's been around actual black people in the last decade, but that still doesn't mean like he knows what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
In Shane's defense, I don't ever think he's had a good chance to like get his ideas out. Like he's had some good ideas over the years, like wanting to buy the UFC and stuff like that. And every time he comes up with an idea, Vince McMahon seems to kind of yank the rug out from under him. So, you know, I'll have a more fully fleshed out opinion of Shane McMahon once I'm able to actually see what he brings to sports entertainment, right?
I feel like this is going to start some controversy here. We go from the McMahons to another person that came up in a wrestling family, Randy Orton. Maria, can Randy Orton come to the cookout?
Why you put me out there like this? Why you put me out here in the street like this? You know what I mean? Like everybody was having a great time. We were conversating. Like, you know, we're everybody having fun. You know, he's smiling, I'm smiling. You know, and now you do this to me. What'd I do to you? I thought we was cool. Like, why you do this?
The people want to know answers to these hard-hitting questions, Maria.
Don't do this, Craig. Don't do this. Oh my God. You know, Randy has had an interesting trajectory with people of color, right? His first child is with a woman of color, right? But his father seems to have influenced his decisions around, you know, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate when dealing with other people. And then he came out and supported Black Lives Matter, right? So he's always been kind of straddling the fence of what's right and what's wrong. And I think, again, it comes from lack of understanding the culture, lack of having access to the culture, preconceived notions, and also where would he interact? Like, you know, if he's not in the hood, you know, which he can come through. You know, that's something that could happen. I don't know. Like, this is a hard one for me because, you know, I've got other feelings. I got another set of feelings that we can't discuss because you can't really get that done at a cookout. Like that.
Go ahead, keep them voices in your head, Maria.
He looked good. He looks good for what? How old is he now? He's in his 40s?
He's got to be in his 40s.
He done stop time. He said no. Like, he looks good.
Like, I think you're right though, Maria. Like, this is a hard call because Randy's been all over the map with this. Like you said, like he supported BLM. He's got a biracial child, you know, but he's also the guy that, you know, said the N-word. Right. On that live stream.
He's also the guy that said Colin Kaepernick is wrong for taking a knee and blah blah blah. Right. He did come around on that, but I mean, he's a complex message.
I think Randy might be, because there's people that I've still got on this list that I know are like all the way on one end of the spectrum, and then people that are all the way on the other end. I think Randy might be the best approximation, Rich, of, you know, just maybe like an average white person out there that is conflicted by this and learning things and having to maybe unlearn some things as well, you know, given what's gone down the last year. So I think right now I'm gonna give Randy like a conditional invite to the cookout, Maria. Like he can come to the cookout, but like he gotta watch, like we watching him.
Yeah, just don't talk. You can look good right here. I agree. I would agree.
To be at the cookout, and so everybody can be knocking over to the side. Who family that? Oh, he ain't family. It's like, oh, let me go step on over to that corner for a minute. Say hello.
What about you, Rich? You giving Randy an invite?
I'm going to give him an invite, and it's to what Kris and Maria just talked about. And I think it's the fact that he didn't go with the corporate just, hey, Black Lives Matter. He went with, I was wrong when I said what I said in the past. I completely was full of crap, and I own that. Because it was a Twitter thread where someone was like, how you going to say that now? He's like, I was an idiot before. I got coworkers I talked to. We forget he's from St. Louis, which is super segregated. And he finally opened his, like you said, Nate, he opened his heart to a side that hadn't been shown to him by his family. And I think he gets credit for that. So if anything, just to make sure Maria's happy, and also I want to see how many people slide over and get their like fifth plate over by Randy before, you know, the cookout's done. Like, I left my greens. Well,
not even close. I'm gonna be smacking hoes. Just go on, get off them now.
They're gonna be like, I left my greens over by that nice mix boy.
Well, you know what they do at the cookout. Oh, taste my potato salad, baby. You know that's what they gonna do. Some hoes gonna come over there with their church hats trying to give him some greens. No.
Brother Randy gonna do me at church tomorrow.
We're gonna have to send Randy home before we break out the brown liquor, because it's gonna be a problem.
Right.
So me, Maria, and Rich are inviting Randy to the cookout. Kris, you get the last vote on Randy.
I vote on him going to the cookout because that nigga needs to go to a cookout.
So it's an educational trip.
Yeah. I think he would benefit from actually being around some Black folks and being around some just people that are different than him. And I don't think Randy Orton is a bad person, but I mean, when you grow up with the kind of wrestling pedigree and wrestling privilege that he's grown up with, it's easy to kind of, think it's okay to call Kofi Kingston stupid. It's easy to, talk smack about Colin Kaepernick and all these other things without really like knowing entire situations, So I think he would benefit from going to a cookout.
Okay, so in a bit of an upset, Randy Orton gets 4 invites to the cookout. So we got 3 more on the list. I did want to get out of the way because I feel like everybody's going to co-sign this one, so I don't even need to throw it around the room. But Kevin Nash, he can come to the cookout. Big Sexy in the building.
Yeah.
Like this dude, especially the last year, like Kevin Nash has surprised me maybe more than anybody in wrestling, Rich, with the way my brother came out in support of the cause.
Well, my man from Detroit, he know this. He ain't messing around. He grew up with Black people. He played basketball with Black people. Nash, if anything, he greedy. That's fine. I respect it. But now he went from like 90s, he was cool. Mid 2000, I don't know. From that to the day that man died, now he good.
He good, yeah. He perpetual invite to the cookout. But the last 3 names on the list, this next person I think might be in the same boat as Randy, in that this is somebody who is in the process of learning things, hopefully. And he is one of the EVPs of AEW. It's this man, Cody Devontae Rhodes. Maria, what you got to say about this man, Cody?
Oh, my God. Where do you start? Yeah, I would put him in the same category. Definitely a conditional invite. And here's the thing, like, just because you're married to a person of color, right? It doesn't mean that you know the whole story, right? Or that you don't have more to learn in the grand scheme of it all. I don't think that necessarily gives you a pass. So yeah, I think educationally for sure, for Cody.
Yeah, I think I agree, Maria, because Cody's another one who's had kind of this up and down relationship with the Black community. Like, I think for the most part, like in his heart of hearts, Cody's a good dude, but he's also somebody who was very clueless about race until recently. Like I think one of the best quotes in regards to him and Brandy was, Cody's one of those dudes like, I don't see race. I don't see color. And Brandy's like, well, if you don't see color, then you don't see me. Because, this as a black woman, like, I can't divorce myself from the idea of race in America. So if you don't see that part of me, you don't see me. So I think I agree. Like, I'm giving Cody a conditional invite to the cookout. His most recent promo aside, I think Cody, good people. He just got to learn some more. Rich Fann, what do you think about this man, Cody Rhodes?
I think I'll give him the conditional. I'm not going to go lose too much sleep over him getting a conditional, but I would say that promo was like basically running for governor of Georgia, and I don't think it's going to be for the party we want him to be rolling with. Like, when they first made AEW, and the first thing he wanted to do as an EVP was make sure the national anthem got played every show. I was a little much for me. Like, Randy's out of pocket because, remember, he got an AWOL, and he was ready to play the Marine until every armed force was like, y'all can't do that. Y'all can't do that. He's like, what'd I do? But that's Randy, habitual line second. Cody is the grandson of a plumber, and all of those little stories that, like, Dusty was the dude that got away with talking like a black dude the most in professional wrestling, but it was because he had so many things that was working for him. Like, he wasn't a pretty dude. He was a heavier guy. He had a lisp. He had all these things that made him, he was human. He was just a dude.
Let me tell you something, Rich Fann. Let me tell you something, brother. My belly's a little bit bigger. My hind is a little bit bigger, but I can get down with them Boogie Fever boys.
That was a great impersonation.
And then the best thing would be the first time I heard Dusty talk with the Virgil Runnels voice when he brought out the Darth Vader deepness. I was like, wait a minute. This man been perpetuating for about 35 years. Let me find out. But that's it. I mean, look at him. He hooked his son up, man. One of the last things he did in life was like, Brandon, come over here. Let me just get some gossip from you, baby. You should see my prince. My prince over here in the corner. He's for you, baby. And then he's like, Mufasa in the Lion King. Remember. So yeah, he'll get it for his dad. And if he says something out of pocket, he's just not coming back.
Yeah. So, Kris, I know before we got on the mics tonight, you had some thoughts about Cody and that promo in particular from a few weeks ago. So what do you think in terms of Cody getting this invite to the cookout?
I think Cody is an ally. I think Cody is more liberal than he'd probably admit out loud. That promo was garbage. I think Cody's problem is he cares about everybody liking him. And I think that when you get out front of a company and you and it's a progressive company, you've got a trans woman as one of your first champions, you got a black guy as one half of your first tag team champions, that kind of thing. You need to take a more progressive stance on issues, talking about the antiquated two-party system. It's antiquated, but it's not antiquated because it's two parties at the moment. It's antiquated because one party believes in complete fairy tales and the other party is got problems, but they don't believe in complete fairy tales. And I think Cody, just everything he was saying in that promo was like, I see where he was coming from, but when you're on this journey of being a progressive, some motherfuckers you just got to let go. You know what I'm saying? It's like and I'm not saying you got to stop being friends with them or stop being cool with them, because I'm friends with a lot of people that I don't necessarily agree with, but they're going to know that I don't agree with them. And Cody Rhodes, when you try to please everybody, you end up pissing everybody off. And I think that's what Cody Rhodes' biggest problem is. He wants to, be patriotic at the same time and then brag about being able to make black babies. On the other hand, it's like, come on, dude.
Cody's a centrist in a world where you can't be a centrist anymore. because
Right.
the other side of the equation has gone so far off the deep end that like you have to stand up against it. It's just not enough to not be racist. You got to be anti-racist. And I feel like Cody's like a lot of people in America right now, where a lot of white people in America, let me clarify, where like the way things were maybe 10 years ago or 5 years ago even, we're in a much different time now because of the way that one party in this country has gone so far that they want to take things so far back where it's like, yeah, man, like I get it. Like I think, Kris, and we've had this conversation, like politically, I'm probably more moderate than I am progressive, but this ain't a time for moderates. This ain't a time for, try to walk that line down the middle. We got to make sure stuff is right. And then maybe once things are fixed, you can go back to being a centrist, Cody. But right now, you got to stand up for these progressive beliefs.
Especially on like these social issues, whatever you believe about big government, small government, I don't care about that. But when it comes to like social issues and voting rights and things of that nature, and going to like QAnon rallies and crap like that, there's only one side of those issues that makes sense.
It really doesn't add up. But like he had just said, like, these big ticket issues, you've got to take a stance against it. It's just it looks suspect on the outside looking in.
Yeah. So Cody's gonna be at the cookout. He's gonna be that person at the cookout that gets lectured by everybody's uncle or aunt. He's got to listen to all the civil rights stories in order to get his plate. So that's what's up with Cody. We got two more for the cookout, and I have a feeling where the votes are gonna go on this. Number one, another second generation wrestler, Tessa Blanchard. Can Tessa Blanchard get an invite to this cookout?
Honestly, no. It's a no from me. I'm just, I got to be honest. Sorry about it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Like, I feel like, everybody can make a mistake, or everybody can do it. I won't even say it's a mistake. Like, I think everybody can do wrong, but it's how you come back from that. And with Tessa Blanchard, like, even to this point, I still haven't seen anything sincere from her that would lead me to believe that she is serious about making amends. So,
right. Randy said he was sorry. He apologized immediately, when it was brought up.
So, Rich, what about you? What are you extending an invite to Tessa Blanchard on these streets?
I was so thrown off, my phone just flew out my hand. Everything just turned off. I would say Tessa respectfully would not be getting an invite. She would be told afterward, "Oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't know you were in town that weekend."
My bad. I had to hit you up next time. Yeah. So that's 3 votes so far for no on Tessa Blanchard. Kris, what about you? Are you extending an invite to Tully's baby girl?
Nah, not so much. I just don't really think she would even be the kind of person I would want to be around. Like, I think she's the kind of person that would think you owe her an explanation. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, I don't know her personally, but she just, just from what I've seen of her in the media, she would be somebody I would like to talk to, though. I can't even lie. I would want to just kind of see like where her head is on like these kind of things, because she does, she definitely seems problematic in these areas,
Yeah. And so our final person that we have to litigate for the cookout, I know it's the one all the listeners out there have been waiting for, because I feel like it's going to generate a lot of emotion. Because, Maria, when you get a cookout going, you invite a lot of different people from a lot of different sides of the family. Some young, some old, some people you ain't seen in a long time. Some maybe came up in the world, got a little bit of money on them. They acting different now. But it truly wouldn't be a wrestling cookout if we didn't have to talk about this one person in particular, Terry Bollea. Can Terry Bollea get an invite, brother?
Oh wow. Nah. Flat out nah, like for multiple reasons, right? But most of all, and most egregiously, even with WrestleMania, like you could tell that he was like really trying with
Titus.
With Titus. I'm blanking on the name. Yeah, Titus O'Neil. Like, he was trying, and he just tried way too hard. And it's like you're trying to get over on TV, but in real life, what have you done to make amends? Like you haven't done anything because you don't really care about the Black community, but you want people to still do the pose with you and stuff. And it's like that time has passed. Like people are socially aware and conscious now in a way that they weren't 20 years ago. And this will no longer pass. And I really was happy to hear that he got booed. He got the right reaction.
Yes.
And I am tired of McMahon waffling on his opinion of what happens with Mr. Bollea. If he goes into the Hall of Fame, if we show his face, if we don't show his face, I think we need to leave him in the past. He's not relevant anymore.
So what about you, Rich Fann? I know you're a little Hulkamaniac, brother. Can I come to the cookout, dude?
The power lies somewhere else, brother. We will have a place set in honor of the Macho Man. We will kindly tell you to keep it moving.
Yes, excellent. Kris, I don't even have to ask you. I know what you finna say, man. Can Terry Bollea get this invite?
Nah, hell no, man. Hulk Hogan is like he's one of those people that he thinks like I want to talk about Booker T for a second, then bridge it back over to Hogan. Booker T. When Triple H pulled the crap that he pulled on him, when he was on the outs with WWE, he was very honest about what Triple H did and stuff. But then in that recent documentary and then on his podcast, he's like, well, I didn't mind it that much. I got paid more money than I ever got paid. And it's not what you care about in this situation, Booker T. It's about the image that WWE is portraying. And with Hulk Hogan, I don't care if Virgil likes him or Kamala when he was alive, God rest his soul. It doesn't matter the Black people that like you. It matters the Black folks that you've offended. And not just Black people that you offended, but everybody that you offended, man. And I don't think he quite seems to get that. So like if that is where your mind is at, then not only does he not belong in wrestling, I don't even really know if there's a place for him in civil society.
Okay, Kris. Okay. Say it with the chest, brother. I'll make it unanimous. I'll go ahead and make it unanimous. Like, nah, Terry Bollea is not invited to the cookout, not this cookout, not next year's cookout, not the cookout 10 years from now. Just like Kevin Nash has the perpetual invite, Hulk Hogan is perpetually banned. Like, you can't come back, man, because it's not even that he said it. Like, that the fact that he said those things is bad. But again, like we were talking about with Tessa, how do you respond to that? And how do you make amends for that? And he has never seemed to want to make amends unless it benefits him in terms of being back on camera, being at the Hall of Fame, making some money from Vince. And so, nah, Terry can't come through. He probably put raisins in a potato salad anyway. You need that extra protein, brother. So that's the cookout, y'all. And we had one more topic before we wrap things up this week. Kris, what is topic number 3?
All right, so topic number 3 is Ask an Advocate. So these are listener questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they got to say, what they got to ask.
All right, so our question this week comes from Faulty Rob, who is a Post Wrestling Cafe patron, and his question for the group is, I'm so thrilled and happy that the NWA podcast is joining the Post universe proper, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Saba Simba character. Even as a kid, I knew this gimmick was messed up. I feel like Vince sometimes wants to push people, but he uses extremely stereotypical material that just ends up turning off the audience. So Saba Simba, of course, Tony Atlas. What are our thoughts on that gimmick and Vince using gimmicks like that in general?
So on Post Wrestling Day, I brought up Kamala and the way he was used in WWE. And then some motherfucker in the chat was like, Vince didn't think of Kamala. That was Lawler. Like, yeah, dude, but Vince didn't get Kamala. He didn't hire Jim Harris and was like, you know what, Jim Harris, let's make you a doctor. He tripled down on the Kamala, made him afraid of coffins and whatever. I've had the chance to interview Kamala before. That listening to this dude, that nigga didn't like being Kamala. He didn't. He liked the accolades and the fanfare that came with it, but as far as having to do that stuff, that was like a means to an end for that brother. As far as Saba Simba, I mean, he's kind of like, it's really like tough to say with the older generation because you always want to respect your elders. But it's one of those things where, you know, these guys don't have like the greatest education. You know, don't quote me on this, but I remember hearing something like Tony Atlas, he probably didn't even finish high school or something like that. So, you know, these are brothers that are just appreciate their lot in life.
And I think something that is important to bring up when we talk about Saba Simba is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Rich, but I believe at the time, like, Atlas was real down on his luck. Like, he might have been homeless at the time. Like, he certainly was in the midst of financial issues. So, like, if it's a question between playing this extremely offensive character and getting paid or keeping my pride and living in a car, like, most of us are going to choose to shuck and jive for that check.
Yeah, that was Operation Keep Them Lights On. And Tony Atlas was in that spot where, you know, I remember when my dad saw that, it was annoying. Like, you got this brother out here with a spear? Like a little spear and barefoot? It was a lot.
Yeah, my mom said the same thing. My mom wouldn't let me watch that. She made me turn a channel with Saba Simba. I remember it like it was yesterday. She put up with like you know, Virgil, even the Ho Train, she kind of got a kick out of, you know. but the Saba Simba stuff was a bridge too far for her.
Yeah, I think, Maria, like, the interesting part of Rob's question, even more so than just the character of Saba Simba that Vince had Tony Atlas play, is this idea that I generally think that Vince wanted to get behind Tony Atlas, right? Like, I think Vince wanted to push this dude, but this was the idea, right, that he came up with instead of like, let's make this dude a legit strongman, or let's make this guy a tough guy. Let's make him a damn savage. And that's where we ended up at.
Okay, I have to kick back a little bit on that. Did he really do that? Or was he like, let me see how much I could pay a nigger to wear a spear and tribal gear and stuff? I'm not giving McMahon that kind of credit. I just can't do it. But I hope that what your analysis is the correct one, Nate. But
I think with Tony, though, there's something with Vince and Tony, right? Because he's continued to bring this dude back. Because
that nigga would do anything for money. If you offer that brother a check, he's gonna do what you ask him to do. That's not a friend to me. That's a puppet master playing games with your fucking money, being like, hey, brother, do this. It's for his own amusement. He's like that kid from that Richard Pryor movie, the toy. Yes, I don't think this is out of the goodness of his heart. I hope I'm wrong,
Well, see, that's the thing, though. That's the thing. That's where, and that's what I think Rob is getting at. In Vince's mind, he's doing Tony a solid, and that's part of the problem.
Agree. Yeah, in his mind, he thinks he's giving him an opportunity, and that's the value of not having people of color in the writing room, not letting them be a part of the conversation to develop a character. You end up with a racist trope. And not just this one in particular, but Vince is famous for this over the years. It's one of the things that I hate most about the WWE, whether you want to talk about Coco Beware or Yokozuna or whoever you want to talk about, just throw a rock and you'll hit one. Yeah, you'll hit one. You know, it's ridiculous. I don't wish death on anyone, but I hope it's quick. I hope it gets here soon, because that's when all of this stuff will go away. I can tell when I look at a presentation if Vince touched it or not. And if I can do that from my living room in my pajamas and underwear, that's a problem. I shouldn't know who developed this character. I shouldn't be able to pick that out.
One of the more offensive things I saw on WWE, the Hall of Fame, was when Tony Atlas was giving his Hall of Fame speech. And there's a part in there where he talks about getting offered the check to be Saba Simba. And he was like, and I was happy about that, you know, and all the McMahons are in the audience laughing and just loving this. And I'm just like, so, who's your fucking editor, man? Edit that shit out. Don't show that on USA. I don't know.
Again, Vince McMahon takes advantage of those individuals who may not have the best education or the best know-how, you know, and puts them in a position, like Nate had said, to where they become, for lack of a better word, dancing puppets, because they don't have the ability to sort of think outside the box or be creative. And that's where we need allies and we need people of color in the room to help. And I'm not talking about Uncle Ruckus. I'm talking about a real one. And
I think, again, like a lot of times when people think of these gimmicks and these storylines, Rich, they think about the 80s, right? Or even the 90s. This is stuff that still is happening. Like, there is no reason for our brother Apollo Crews to be out here having Nigerian drum matches in 2021, man.
Right.
I still don't know what a Nigerian drum match is. I thought it was going to be like Black Panther, and you have some dude like drumming in the center and getting closer every few minutes. But even that would have been problematic, because like, what Nigerians you grabbing from Orlando that time of year? Like, that's going to be some questions. And then on top of that, I'm just flabbergasted at, you know, we don't have this generation's Bad News Allen. We don't even have, like, I take a Ahmed Johnson, like a dude who half crazy, and you just don't know. Like, he was the closest we ever came to a Scott Steiner, honestly. Like, Scott Steiner was a dude where respect his wrestling ability. He is a psychopath, and half his promos, you didn't know if he was coming or going. But at least you knew he was.
He did a lot of drugs, though. That man was high.
Ahmed Johnson was a layered character, though, and I always kind of he's a guy that I've interviewed before too, and I've chat with on Facebook from time to time. I don't think Ahmed Johnson was crazy when they were forming the Nation of Domination. They put him in the Nation of Domination, and when he wanted to be the leader of the Nation of Domination, because that's the way he was positioned on the card. He was the black guy in that company until they hired Farouk, and they put him in the Nation of Domination. I don't think that dude is crazy for saying, hey, I should be the leader. I could understand it from like a perspective of a wrestling fan who's like, hey, Ron Simmons has more accolades than you. But as a guy who was riding high, who was like the number 2 or 3 guy in that company after Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, why wouldn't he want to be the leader of the Nation of Domination if he's joining it? You know, that just makes sense to me. So,
yeah, that makes sense though, Chris. But no. One thing that I thought he was crazy was because he thought he should have got a pay raise because he was ranked high in the PWI.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Like
put him
you
at
get
number
rated in the
5.
PWI 500, and you go to your boss, you're like, well, I was rated like 165. You need to come across, Vince. I'm like, brother,
He just throws a copy of the magazine on Vince's desk like it's the Wall Street Journal. Like, have you seen this, boss?
Stocks.
Yeah,
stocked her up.
That was the 96 edition of the PWI. He was ranked number 5. I remember it. Yeah.
Take a look at this, Vince. Hot off the presses.
Yeah.
Time to pay your boy.
Ahmed Johnson was nuts, and he still is nuts. I would say this to him. But yeah.
But I like that. Like for our first question, thanks to Faulty Rob for that one, because I do feel like that's something that we'll come back to a lot as this show progresses, is the idea of the prism through which your stories are written. And even though the lead characters in these stories may be Black or may be Latino or may be Asian or may be female, the person writing the story, the lens through which these stories are being shown, is an old white dude who doesn't have a lot of friends who are not old white dudes with money.
Tell the truth. Why in that backstage session, why are we still doing the Great Khali like he needs an interpreter? Come on. It's 2021. He's not even wrestling. What are you doing? That backstage segment, oh my God, set me on fire. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah.
I'm done.
This company, but this is the type of conversation that you guys are gonna get time after time here on the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. I'm excited because I feel like the more conversations like this we have, the more understanding a lot of other fans will have for where we're coming from with our wrestling fandom and our wrestling critiques and our wrestling criticism from time to time. So before we get out of here, want to go around the horn, let everybody know where you can find these wonderful, talented, melanated people that you've been listening to for the last hour. Starting with our brother, Rich Fann. Rich, where can people hear more of your great work, and how can they find you on social media?
Thank you for that intro, Nate. You can find me on Twitter at Rich_Fann, FANN. And if you want to listen to anything I do, if you go to PW Torch on anything that does a podcast app, you can find my work, either the East Coast cast with Travis Bryan and Cam Hawkins, the deep dive with my rotating guests, of which I would need all of y'all at some point, because this summer is long and we got a lot to talk about.
No doubt.
And then everything with Rich Fann on the VIP side of the torch, which I would definitely say go VIP if you got the money and you got the time.
That's right. That's right. Show that man some appreciation and thoughts and prayers to our brother Cam.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty. We don't believe you. You need more people. Free Cam. Maria, we are glad that you were able to join us this time out. I think the audience feels like it was definitely worth the wait to hear your opinions on these things in the crazy world of professional wrestling. Maria, where can people hear more from you? And shout out your socials.
Yeah. So I do the Sistas With Sabers podcast. So if you've ever wondered how Black women view Star Wars, you should check out our podcast. It's called Sistas With Sabers. I also am one of the co-pilots on the Katana Cast, which is a multiracial and also gay trans pro podcast on Star Wars as well. So we've got a lot of different voices there. So the whole goal is to get non-traditional voices in the fandom elevated so that we get some new, fresh takes and get away from, the standard practice and the standard take on Star Wars. So it's been really successful. Those are the two shows that I'm a part of. You can find me at Blurred Girl Jedi on Twitter and Instagram.
Good stuff. And I would recommend checking out, I want to say it was 2 episodes ago where friend of the program, Brittany Monet from the Black Lightning podcast, hopped on with y'all. It is a great conversation, but most decidedly not safe for work. So in the words of Dave Chappelle, better not bring your kids.
No, don't bring your kids. But Brittany's amazing. I had so much fun with her. I've been trying to get at her for a while, and I was just like, I gotta come right. I gotta come right for Brittany.
That was a lot of fun. Savage, like the mega powers was coming together.
Right?
without the racism from Terry.
The rock and sock connection, like we was getting it. Yeah. I had the puppet.
Yeah. So definitely check out Sistas With Sabers and all the work that Maria does. Brother Kris, the irate intellectual, the angry professor himself. Kris, I'm so glad that we were able to get this thing started here on Post, and I'm also glad that you weren't on that Moderna and Hennessy this time like you were during Post Podcast Day. Where can people hear more from you, brother, and shout out your social?
All right, so I want to first give a shout out to John Pollock and Wei Ting. I remember when I came out at you with this idea, Nate, and the fact that we're still doing it, and now we're on the Post Wrestling Podcast Network. Is just great, and it's great that people think that we're important enough to be listened to, and I'm always want to be the voice of wrestlers who might not have a voice. So I can't wait until we get deeper in this show and we start having guests come on and talking about their experiences in the wrestling business. So
we definitely are. Spoiler alert, we definitely are working on getting performers and talent on the show as well, so they can tell their stories, because like Kris said, it is very, like, we can talk about our opinions, but to have these men and women that are in the business, are in the industry, to share their stories like that just adds another perspective to the conversation.
Right. And then shout out to Maria. And I do need to catch up on the on your Sistas With Sabers podcast, because I haven't listened to it in a while. But I'm gonna listen to it. My brain can only take so much Star Wars for some reason. I'm not like that with everything else, but
that's all right. It's maybe 10% Star Wars now.
I was gonna say, like,
the last few episodes we haven't had a lot of Star Wars mentions.
Right, and it's
like, I feel like I love the show, but I feel like after every time I listen to Sistas With Sabers, I feel like I need to go to church. I need to balance out the energy in my life.
You are not the only person I hear that from. They're like, this is an arousing podcast. I'm like, okay,
very stimulating conversations.
And shout out to Rich as well. Full disclosure, I have been a member of the Pro Wrestling Torch. I've been a paying subscriber to the Pro Wrestling Torch for some years. There was a while there where I would only listen to the episodes with Rich on there, because I just, like, I don't know, the brother, he was speaking my language more than the other hosts. But now I do, when I listen now, I listen beyond just Rich's shows. I appreciate the work that you do, brother. And I appreciate you asking Tony Khan. I think it was you. It might have been Cam, but I think it was you in that press. Okay, yeah, in that press conference, that was, somebody needed to ask it, and I'm glad it was you. So yeah. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still on the tail end of my dissertation, so I could get this white people confirmation called a doctorate. Hopefully that'll happen before the year is up, or at least at the beginning of next year. I have a podcast that's coming out with my friend Lynn Silverberg. She's a political scientist. I'm a political scientist. We're still kind of thinking of a name for it, but I'm starting to learn the StreamYard interface a little bit better. And when that comes out, I think it's going to be a great thing. And on that show, we're just going to be talking about the political issues and the news of the day. I'm looking for, and it's going to be a bi-weekly show. So I'm looking forward to that. Follow me on Twitter at KMEasyDoesIt. If you want me to follow you back, just say, hey, follow me back. Don't be a dickhead about that kind of thing, because I don't even use Twitter that much, and people, so I have these days when I'm on Twitter, I'll use it for like 8 hours straight, but then I'll have like 6, 7, 8 days in a row where I don't use it, and people like concentrate on that one day where I'm using it, like, hey man, and just yelling at me and all that crap. So it is what it is.
Kris is the only person in the history of podcasts that starts beef during his plugs. Just y'all can follow me, but don't be an asshole about it.
I don't think I'm important. I follow whoever back, but just don't like yell at me for not doing it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, I typically talk to people that are friends on Twitter, like you, Maria, Fan, these are people that I know, you know what I'm saying? These cats on this, all this is still new to me,
You get unwanted dick pics too? And just drop it in the DM? Like, you see that too?
Yeah.
It's real on these Twitter streets.
Try being a woman on Twitter.
No, thank you.
Dude, you got to get a better angle of that little thing.
That in portrait mode, son. But yeah, like I want to echo Kris's sentiments. Shouting out John and Wave here, Post Wrestling, for being generous with their platform, because not everybody is generous with their platform. And so, this show was already cool when it was over on the Patreon, and you can still hear the older episodes over at the Kings of Sport Patreon, patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. But to be on Post, where we have a even bigger platform to kind of talk about these things, I think is really cool. And so shout out to those brothers. Shout out to Andrew Thompson, part of the family here. Shout out to y'all for listening, because I know this is not everybody's cup of tea when it comes to their wrestling podcast, but I appreciate y'all for checking out this debut episode, I guess, on Post Wrestling of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. So that's going to do it. Again, if you want to follow me, check me out on Twitter at N.W.A, MOZAIK, at Nate Mosaic. That's where you'll find out more information about the shows I do. Of course, again, Patreon, if you want to support a brother financially, and show your love through monetary means. I'm not going to stop you. Not in this economy. Not in this economy, Maria. We're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
So
get the bag.
Y'all want to slide me $5 just to show your appreciation, I'm not going to stop you. But thanks for listening. We'll be back. We'll be back next month with an all-new edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. Real quick before we go, one last question, guys. Rapid fire. Tony Khan, cookout, yes or no?
Yeah, think of something to do with your black wrestlers, my dude. But yeah, sure.
Rich?
I'm gonna say yeah, because Tony probably gonna wind up like buying a restaurant and bringing it to us.
Yeah, yes.
It's like yeah, I heard about this one place. He's like Batman. I heard about this one place in like South Alabama, so I just bought it and had it flown up here. It's in Pittsburgh now. It's fine.
Who brought a Waffle House to the cookout? Oh, that's just Tony. Tony being Tony. Maria, can Tony come to the cookout?
I'm gonna go with yeah. I'm gonna let it slide. Yeah.
I'm saying yeah because like Kris can be bought with shoes, I can be bought with money, and Tony got a lot of money. Plus, he could probably give me like season tickets to the Jaguars. So yeah, Tony, come on to the cookout.
Yeah.
But yes.
If he could get me season tickets to the Broncos, I'd be happy. All right.
He could probably buy you the Broncos at this point, Kris. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. Again, want to thank Rich Fann for coming through. Want to thank Sister Maria for blessing us with her presence and her perspective this week. And we'll be back next month with an all-new edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. So, for the Professor, Kris from LA, I am the Godfather, Nate Milton. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcasted.
It's for the culture and we reppin' it.